I'm sorry.
Protect by Titi. Please. Please, Lara.
I will.
Might have something to say about that.
My loves, will you hold still for a second?
Yes, my white queen. One.
Can I see? Of course. There's you, and me, and your dad. Where are we? Hawaii.
With this key and the silver box, we can remake the world. Without weakness, rooted.
If you had that power, what would you do?
My brave girl, who is not expecting a jaguar attack.
Where shall we go next for our real adventure? I hear the Antarctic is lovely this time of year.
Dad!
Oh no, well then perhaps the salt flats of Utah.
Oh, Richard.
I know where we're going.
You do?
Hawaii!
Oh yes. Yes, that could be really nice. Well, in that case...
Goodbye, Mom. Goodbye, Dad.
No. You're my research assistant.
Oh, yes, you're quite right. Oh, sorry, Mom.
I request that you bring me to the museum.
Well, I think that can be arranged, and by your new schedule.
When the catastrophes come, the god Kukulkan must be sacrificed to power the sun. Otherwise, the world dies. Sacrifice a god? The sacrifice is my duty. But if my training fails me, the Crimson Fire will guide me and hold me to my promise.
I like this world. It's not perfect. But everything I love now is in it.
After today, the eclipse will no longer represent us. We keep the sun, but you remove the shadow.
Protect by Titi. Please. Please, Lara.
I will.
Unuratu. My mother, a warrior, a rebel, a queen. She will be venerated for generations. I miss you. Now, we will heed her spirit to reunite Paititi.
Thank you.
So I'm head back to Kwakyaku tomorrow.
Really? Missing the jungle? Off in search of the elusive fish tree?
Abby and I are headed to the coast for a few days.
I'm glad.
What about you?
I think I'll stay here for a while longer.
And restore a few more artifacts?
Don't know.
So what will you do?
I don't know. Etzli will help me figure it out. He'll let me know what Paititi needs to rebuild.
Wow.
I'm done searching. I want to be around the living.
All right.
Don't you have to pack or something?
Now you are stuck with me till tomorrow.
You're welcome to stay as long as you wish, Lara. Safe travels, John. Once Paititi is restored, perhaps I can join you and learn more about the world beyond Paititi.
Anytime. You just say the word. You too, Uchu?
If he wants to.
So, Jonah, Lara tells me you have a girlfriend. We will come to the wedding.
Etzli, why don't you show me the plans for the new town?
Yes.
And there we have it, my friend, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. That was a pretty intense ending, I gotta say. One thing that I was happy about the ending, I'll start from the ending. The final boss battle was pretty intense. I liked it. I don't think there was too much wrong with it. I felt like it's probably down to the difficulty level. Maybe if I played it on a much harder difficulty, it would be different. But even considering that it's normal difficulty, I expected Dominguez to be a little more difficult. Like, the mechanics of the battle are fine, but in terms of how easy it was to get him, like, vulnerable, I thought it was a little bit too easy. But I don't know, maybe it was just me. Because you saw, I mean, even my aim and stuff is like was really not on point compared to some of my other like gaming endeavors of this type. But despite that, it was fairly easy. I didn't die at all during the final boss battle, so I don't know. But what I liked was I spent a bit of time talking about Dominguez and his motivations, and like I became convinced that he really was someone whose core goal was to really protect and ensure the survival of his people and his village. And the fact that his final words were like "protect Paititi," I was like, okay, like, you know, regardless of all like the Trinity bullshit, at its core, that was what the guy wanted. So it was kind of good to see. I liked Dominguez, I think, as a antagonist. It was a little bit different, like I said. Like the first time I saw him in the cult attire, I was like, this is just really weird. Like, because you assume like Trinity and what you know of them from the previous games, you know, they've got this like high-tech army. They're involved in like all these. I mean, they're probably spending like millions, billions on like crazy like mercenary activities to try and uncover all these secrets of the world and find powerful artifacts, etc. And it's like, wait, is this guy who's in Paititi and like in the traditional outfit or stuff? Like, I just couldn't put the two together. But I came to like, it didn't end up being a problem for me, especially like once I got nearer the end. I thought it was a pretty good antagonist, and they didn't find some silly way to shoehorn in the fact that, oh, he's actually this super great guy at combat and he's a bullet sponge. Because I think that happened with Asav in the last Uncharted game, Lost Legacy. What was it called? Lost Legacy? Something like that. And where it's like the dude just turns out to be like this ridiculous like you know, martial arts. You see a few inclinations of it earlier in the game, but when it's a boss battle like that, it's always a little bit silly. But with this one, the fact that, you know, he had the power of the box and the dagger, and that made him much more of a acceptable match for Lara, I thought that worked out well. So yeah, I don't have too many problems with like with Dominguez and how that all played out. It was a little bit different, but I thought it was okay in the end. Overall, I'm probably going to be repeating pretty much exactly what I've been saying throughout the playthrough, because it's mostly been similar things I've been talking about, and that hasn't changed for the most part. I feel like the story and like the combat did take too long to get going, and even at its peak I feel like it wasn't enough. I feel like the balance should have been like, we should have had like, if let's say 10-15% of the game was like hardcore combat, I would say maybe like 5 to 10% of the game was hardcore combat. It should be like 20, I think, at least. Like they could have doubled the amount of serious like combat gunfire situations we were in, and it wouldn't have been a problem. Because once it did get going, like even the bits in the forest, the nighttime forest, I feel like it was quite underused. We could have had a bit more of the game in those kind of situations. The battle at the end, like I said, I mean, when we took down Rourke, who was kind of billed as like the main bad guy from the military side of things, I thought we were going to have some kind of showdown, we were going to have like a punch up with him, some kind of combat, and it was just like him in a tank, and he got overwhelmed by the Yashil. So the Yashil basically did most of the damage for the ending. So that kind of hollowed out the victory against Rourke a little bit for me. But yeah, I think like the amount of combat and the way it was put into the game and how long it took to get going for me was one of the main weaknesses that I had personally. Another one that I mentioned numerous times was Jonah. Even in the final scene, like the fact that you don't even get a cutscene with him and Abby actually kind of sailing off into the sunset, like the guy kind of deserves that. They gave him this whole like makeover, and they introduced like a bit more of a love story with him, like meeting her, and you know, Lara becoming a third wheel, which was interesting to see. I liked the first cutscene, but the payoff was really, really like just not on point, I feel. So I feel like they really underutilized Jonah and maybe kind of build him in the wrong way, because if Jonah looked like how he always did, and like he was introduced the same way he was in Rise of the Tomb Raider, and they didn't try to shoehorn in this love story with him, it's like, you know, this is just a classic Jonah tale. But you give him the makeover, you start the game with him and Lara together for a long period, he looks a bit more like an action hero badass guy, we get to hear more of his backstory, you know, those more intimate scenes he has with Lara in, when I say intimate, I mean like emotionally intimate scenes with Lara by the fire. So you're like, okay, so Jonah is like, you know, he's riding for the whole journey, and we're going to really like get to see him at his best. And then after that, it's like for the 70% of the game, it's literally like Jonah comes along, he says a few lines, then he says, yeah, you know, you go on ahead, we'll sort this bit out. Or he gets captured and he has to be on the sidelines for a bit. It's just like, why? Like, why have you guys used him like this? And then, of course, his heroics only come out when it's Deus Ex Machina time, and you know, he does like a little like karate move on someone and like takes their gun away and ensures that Lara doesn't get killed or they get the box or whatever. So I'm not sure I like how he was used in the game, but that's another thing. There are a few little things, like just these are more like minor things, like the fact that like sometimes the dialogue felt a bit off, not for like the proper cutscene bits, but for some of the more like NPC dialogues that we had, where the environmental sounds like tended to disappear. There were some more like awkward pauses. The stuff by the campfire, I don't know if the campfire thing was present in all of the Rise or in all of the Tomb Raider games, but in this one it was really noticeable, and I did not really like that. So yeah, because for me, like the whole like the story thing and all that is so important. It's obviously like a, you know, I have to mark the game down for that personally, with my own like rating of the game. I mean, it was the cataclysms, there was talk of the volcano. So like with the sun thing, it seemed like it was totally metaphorical in the end, because it was basically just an eclipse. The sun going out was an eclipse, and I don't actually know what the ritual did, because I don't think there was any indication that the sun was in any kind of physical scientific sense actually going to go out and that we somehow re-energized it. It was just they did the ritual and then the eclipse continued to pass. So I don't know if they were trying to imply that if they didn't do the ritual that somehow that eclipse was going to last forever or something like that. But I wasn't too sure from the start about this whole like cataclysm thing, because I know like Tomb Raider and like the civilizations and the special artifacts with special powers is not exactly the most realistic thing, but as soon as they set the game off with the premise that Lara, because she took a dagger, she set a series of cataclysms into motion that's going to end the world, and the sun's going to go out and stuff, I was just like, whoa, hold on man, what the fuck? So, you know, that didn't completely like sit right with me even like until the end of the game. But I think, you know, the payoff at the end, like with Lara agreeing to sacrifice herself, and she going through with the ritual and all that kind of stuff, obviously it played out in a good way. But just the general premise of the cataclysms and how they handled that story, I wasn't quite sure about it. So yeah, those were some of the things that I wasn't too hot on in terms of the game, but there was a lot to like about this game. Visually, I was absolutely blown away. I really enjoyed it. It was quite jungle heavy. It was, you know, for the most part, it was pretty much completely jungle. It would have been nice if there was a little more industrial area. I feel like the oil refinery was a bit underused because we kind of sprinted through that area. It was just used for an action sequence pretty much and a few cutscenes. But the jungle itself, there was good variety in there. There was much more like rockier areas, there was green areas, there was more just like more wildlife stuff, more caverns, caves, pools. The underwater was absolutely brilliant. The piranha sections were really good. They integrated that into one of the tombs as well, and even though it was quite easy to avoid them, the fact that they were there as a threat made you think twice. So from the visual side, I was really happy with the game. Again, I'm playing on PS4, and the lighting and the animation and all that kind of stuff I thought was really just on point. It was really nice. Best looking Tomb Raider game to date, I would say, and well, with good reason. It's the most recent one, but they didn't rest on their laurels, because Rise of the Tomb Raider looked fantastic as well, and they continued to up the stakes and make it look even better than it ever has. That was something I liked. Of course, have to talk about photography mode. Photography mode was both good but also a disappointment in terms of the functionality of it being a bit low sometimes. It didn't have as many functions as I would have liked. Probably enough for most people, but me personally, because I've played with better photographer modes, I would have liked a little bit more. And the fact that during certain like crucial bits where you could have got really nice photographs, because it's pre-rendered, it locks you into the angle and you can't play with it at all. That kind of frustrated me a bit. But for how beautiful the game is, I wish the photography mode was just like a little bit better. It could have really like enhanced the experience for me even a little bit more than it has. The sound, I was really happy with the sound. So again, like another technical thing, but the way they implemented the sound was really good. Apart from a few mishaps, like I talked about with like the fireplace, like the way they implemented the gaps in the audio was a little bit weird, and the fact that sometimes with NPCs it was a little bit awkward, and like the environmental sounds are a bit off and stuff. In general, like the musical cues they used, the sound effects they used in the game, the soundtrack I thought was really good. Overall, I thought it was one of the good points of the game, along with the visuals that they had. Combat, I feel like there were some innovations. They did some good little things. As you guys know, because MGS3 is like my second favorite game of all time, I've always loved the whole jungle, like going through the weeds, and you've got animals everywhere, you've got stuff flying around, you've got bigger animals, smaller animals. That jungle needs to feel alive, and I think this jungle, the jungles in Shadow of the Tomb Raider were absolutely phenomenal. I really enjoyed it. Best jungle game I've played since Metal Gear Solid 3 for me. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, just the variety of animals that they had in the jungle was good. The fact that we had a little bit of nighttime jungle was also good. A few little tricks that I personally didn't get to utilize as much was the stuff like the rope kill that you could do from the tree, like hang people up onto the tree and stuff. That was really good. The weapon variety and everything was fine. Like the fact that the upgrades you could do, you could add suppressors and that kind of stuff. That's all kind of standard anyway for Tomb Raider, but I feel like they did it well. Of course, we had the mud thing, which was definitely useful in certain segments of the game. I don't think they overused it. They could have just been like, hey, look, this is our new thing that we have, and we really want you to use it at every single opportunity. I thought it was a good mix of like needing to use it and wanting to use it. So that was another good little innovation that they had for that. The tombs. The tombs are one of my favorite things about this game. it's easy for me to say I wish they had a few more, but when I look at the ones that they did give us and how like in-depth they were, the amount of traversal you had to do, the fact that you had to do combat for some of them, it wasn't like a pure like puzzle. Oh, you know, rotate this lever so that this platform comes down, you jump on it, jump on a few more things, and oh, you got the treasure. It was like you really had to work for some of them, and there was danger involved, and there was variety involved. So the tombs are one of the biggest triumphs of this game, personally. I really, really enjoyed the tombs. So I think when looking at it overall, there were definitely good sides and bad sides. I can't say overall I enjoyed it as much as Rise of the Tomb Raider, because I feel like just in terms of the story and the atmosphere and the location, even though it was an industrial one, there was just something about, maybe it's the way they weaved it into the story, I don't know how to explain it, but just the general atmosphere and vibe I got from Rise of the Tomb Raider was better than the one I got for this one. Maybe just because I couldn't really fully immerse myself in the story as much as I could with Rise of. So if I'm thinking more in terms of like the cinematic qualities, the emotional side of it, the story, maybe like the writing and all that kind of stuff, I liked Rise of the Tomb Raider better. The general atmosphere, the vibe that I got from that game was better than the one I got for this one. But that doesn't mean that there were things in this game that weren't superior to Rise of the Tomb Raider. So when I look at it overall, for me, like Rise of the Tomb Raider, I feel like when I completed it, I felt like that was like a 9.5 out of 10. I really love that game. This one to me feels like an 8, I would say. It's similar. I think I probably still like the first Tomb Raider better. So the 2013, like the initial Tomb Raider reboot, I like that better than this one. And I like Rise of the Tomb Raider better than both of those games. So I'd probably give it like an 8 out of 10, like an 8.7 for the first Tomb Raider game, like a 9.2 for Rise of the Tomb Raider if I had to give them a number and rank them in some way. So had a good time. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. It might have got a little bit boring at times, like with the exploration and the fact that there wasn't much high intensity stealth or combat until later on in the game. But I hope you guys enjoyed going on this journey with me. And as far as I know, this game does have a DLC, just like Rise of the Tomb Raider had 2 DLCs. I think this one's going to have a DLC as well. So when that DLC comes out, I see no reason why I shouldn't play it. I'll definitely be checking that out, and I will see you guys for that. So in terms of non-Final Fantasy walkthroughs on the channel, this one is complete. I will be resuming Bloodborne once I'm done with this, because there's still a lot of work to do for that, and I still suck at that game badly. But then after that, I will probably be looking at my Patreon voting to see which game won, and we'll be going on from there to see which game I'll be playing next that is not Final Fantasy. So aside from the DLC, we won't be seeing Tomb Raider for quite some time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for going on this journey with me. I will see you guys again soon for more content.
I had it all wrong. I thought that taking control of my life meant venturing out to do something extraordinary. I thought I had to fix everything. But the mysteries of the world are to cherish more than to solve. I'm just one of their many protectors. I'm not sure what the future has in store, Jonah, but whatever adventure's on the horizon, I can't wait to meet it. I'll try not to take myself too seriously.
Tea, Miss Croft.
Lovely. For now, it just feels good to be home.
Winston! Jonah! So it's nice to see Lara Croft back home once again, as she often ends up. But I mean, is this trying to... In terms of like the Lara Croft timeline, I'm not really sure how... Oh, you're not... Choose continue. You arrived before the final battle with Amaru. However, the path to the City of Serpent is now closed. Okay. Cool. So I can play the challenge tombs individually. Get the season pass now to have access to this exciting content as soon... I was going to say that I think the reason why they have less challenge tombs overall is because they're more elaborate, yes indeed, but I feel like they could probably release more as DLC, and there's your answer. 7 extra challenge tombs as DLC. That's pretty cool. Okay. Good to know. Thank you very much, game. I'll probably be checking those out when I can as well, because I have been enjoying the challenge tombs. So I've got 77.11% complete. Not too bad. To be honest, I think a lot of it, because I've done, I think there's 2 or 3 more crypts, but they just give you like outfits and stuff, which I preferred the weapon-based one of Rise of. But aside from that, I don't think there's any like secret areas I need to find or anything like that. I pretty much got everything. So yeah, I guess I can return to here whenever I want to, but you know, probably won't need to again outside of DLC and those extra tombs and that kind of thing. So there we go, guys. Thanks for watching. I will see you soon. Take care.